Hey, welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. Okay, so jumping on the bandwagon yet again. It's a bit clickbaity, isn't it? But in the last week, so what is it? It's the 19th of April 2025 at the moment. So the last week, the previous week, OpenAI have released a whole swathe of other new stuff. In fact, there's so much stuff coming out. You can't. It's going to drive you crazy. And believe me, you're talking to someone who is crazy for for looking at too much of this stuff. There's so many options now, isn't there? Claude, from Anthropic, Gemini, all the things that they're doing. OpenAI as well. So OpenAI. I keep saying Open API because there is something called Open API, and it gets a bit confusing. But never mind. Sorry for the little pauses. I'm coughing in the background and pausing so you don't have to hear it. But anyway, the idea is that they've released a whole swathe of stuff, some new models. They've released GPT 4.1, but they've also released some new reasoning models, which are very confusingly named. And they've even admitted it. Where you had like 4.0 and all that sort of stuff. Now they've got O3 and things like that. It's like, okay, I'm not sure which way round this goes. But anyway, one thing that jumped out that caught my eye was also they've released something called the Codex CLI. Okay, so CLI, command line interface. So it's a command line based prompt for coding specifically. It uses the new reasoning model O3 Mini, and apparently there's different levels. Obviously, you've got O3, like the premium one, but this one you don't have to pay for, although there is a caveat there. It does require you to have the OpenAI. You need an API link with a token, like an access token, and it does charge you for how much you use. Now, I did a video. I'll put the link if you really want to go through that. But essentially, again, a bit like the last time around on the YouTube channel, I used 3 totally online tools, vibe coding, if you want to call it that, to create like a quotation app. And it did a really good job for the most part. But the good thing is with those online things is that, of course, it's all online. You don't need to know about command lines and all that sort of stuff. And you can deploy it as well with your own domain name and all sorts of things. But most of them are at least $25 a month. Whereas if you do this yourself, there's so many, Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, Google. There's countless other platforms that will offer you free or really, really sort of cheap hosting, way cheaper than $25 a month. Okay, so anyway, OpenAI Codex. I did just 5 mins and I think a video about a month or 2 ago when Anthropic, who make Claude, they came out with Claude Code. Okay, now I had a few because I'm on a Windows platform mainly. I've got an old Mac as well, but I did have a few issues originally with Claude Code. I think it might have been resolved by now, but it was down to the fact that you really needed to be on a Linux platform to actually use it. But anyway, when I jumped on board with this latest thing from OpenAI called Codex CLI, it looks very similar. It really does. No disrespect to anybody there. Everybody copies everything, let's face it. But anyway, the Codex CLI I got running. Like I say, I did a video just building, again, equally like a quotation app. And I said, look, I just want to build this clean, no dependencies, because all of those online platforms, even though I hadn't specified it, they decided to use React, which again, nothing against React. I'm not a React developer, but it's a JavaScript framework that's very, 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 very popular. So it went with well, that's the popular stuff. But I told Codex, like I did with Claude Code a couple of months ago, just to create a quotation app that's going to have a JSON file, so, just with a list basically of image references to, some free images, a quotation, and maybe the author or something. And I just wanted it plain old, good old JavaScript. With obviously there's bound to be some CSS and obviously HTML, and it did a really, really good job. It stuck to the plan. It didn't decide to pull in packages and libraries that I didn't want. Very clean code. I mean, I'm not a professional JavaScript developer, but certainly I know enough of JavaScript to see some decent, up-to-date JavaScript, and it was using exactly that. The style sheet, the styling was really simple and clear, and it did a really good job. And the interesting thing, it even though you do have to pay for the tokens, so you have to pay for the usage, you don't have to pay for the tool, but doing what I did to create that app, at least in its initial stage, essentially cost 15 cents. So again, I sort of joked about, a few weeks ago about try doing that on Fiverr or something like that. It took 5 minutes and it cost 15 cents, and it's pretty reasonable code. I don't think you'd be able to get that any cheaper anywhere in the world. So anyway, but I'll put the links below. OpenAI, Codex, there's a whole swathe of other stuff that they've released as well. But this one definitely jumped out, to help generate code. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Have a good day, week, whatever you get up to, and I will catch you on the next one.